Hello fans of The Voice, AI Champo 8 here with your review of last night's episode of The Voice. Now basically we're just going to go through each performance, I'm just going to state what I think, and I hope you'll do the same in the comment section below this video. Alright, so let's get started. So first up last night was one of Usher's acts, Vito, with Michael Jackson's Rock With You. I thought this was a very good way to start off the show because not only was it a good performance overall, just moving around the stage, just moving with the song, but also the fact that he managed to also the fact that he managed to keep very good vocals while doing it, which, believe it or not, is very difficult to do. It's not easy to keep good vocals while moving around like that, so hats off to him for that one. Good job. So next up was Holly Tucker with A Broken Wing by Martina McBride. So I think besides one little crack at the end, one little issue with her voice cracking at the end of the song when she went into a high note, though I don't think that's much of a big deal, it was really good other than that. Really good, yeah. And honestly, with this song, I haven't heard this song done since Jordan Sparks did it back in 2007 on American Idol. And it's good to see that song done again, and actually done as well as it was. So next up was one of Shakira's acts, Garrett Gardner. Now, Garrett was in the bottom two last week of Shakira's acts, so he really needed to step it up this week. The song that Shakira gave Garrett this week was I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys. Yeah, I think I got the same opinion that probably a lot of people had. I was surprised that Shakira chose this song, but personally I thought it was a very unique rendition of it. He added sort of a rock edge to it and made it interesting to watch, though maybe it could have been executed a little better. I think Garrett overall did a very good job with it. Next up was Sarah Simmons with Adam's choice of The Story by Brandi Carlile. I gotta say, I liked Sarah's performance of it because I liked the fact that she showed a different side of her vocals, because she showed a very soft vocal last week, but she showed a very rough and very edgy vocal this week, which made it interesting. Probably the only thing that I didn't like was really the song choice, and that actually has nothing to do with Sarah. It's like, the song's just not my taste, personally. But I thought Sarah did amazing with it. I thought Sarah did very well with it. Next up was the Swan Brothers with Who's Gonna Fill Their Shoes. Now, who's this by again? This is by George Jones. And so, with the Swan Brothers, this was a very interesting performance because I actually feel like this was a bit of a standout performance for them. I honestly feel that way because I thought they came out there and slammed it out of the park in this performance. And I think, though I really liked last week's performance, I think this week was better. This week was even better. And I've never heard this song in my life before, and the Swan Brothers made me a fan of it. They made me a fan because it was so well done. Next up was another Shakira act, Sasha Allen, with Alone by Heart. And so with this one, I thought it was interesting with sort of there was much less music it was more theatrical with a different melody in the background, and the cello in the background was also a nice touch to it. I felt like it was kind of pitchy around the choruses, though. I thought it was a little pitchy. I don't know if people would agree with me on that, but I felt like it was a little pitchy. Sasha was a little pitchy on this one. I think she was. I wasn't as big a fan of this performance as I was of her performance last week. I feel like she will. I don't feel like she'll have a problem getting through tonight, though. Next up was Josiah Hawley with The Man Who Can't Be Moved by the Script. And you know what? I gotta hand it to Josiah because he made this song work really well. I think it showed such a smoothness in the vocal, and with the high notes in the song, he did it perfectly. It was very well done. Josiah did a good job on that one. Next up was Danielle Bradbury with Wasted by Carrie Underwood. And honestly, I think Danielle did a very good job. And actually, I gotta say, I find it ironic that she did a Carrie Underwood song, because when I think of which country artist she is like, Carrie Underwood is probably the first country singer that comes to mind that I find that she's like. So it's kind of good. I like it that she did a Carrie Underwood song in that perspective. And I definitely think she'll be sticking around long into this competition. No problem at all. Next up was Judith Hill with You've Got a Friend by, I believe it's James Taylor, but I heard it, I remembered it being a Carole King thing. Who else did this song also? Who else is a big one? Like, we got American Idol, we got Scotty McCreery, and Brooke White also a few years back. They have that, which I don't believe they do. But yeah, we got James Taylor who did it, and Carole King wrote that song. And I think Judith took it into a whole different perspective of the song, because not only did she do it without the band, do it without the whole group, without the whole band behind her, which was something that was something in itself. I'm very impressed with that. She just did it solely on the piano, no problem, and the vocals to add to that. It was just, and she managed to do great with the vocals to add to that. I would say up to that point, best performance of the night so far. I would say that. So next was Michelle Shemuel with Call Your Girlfriend by Robin. Apparently Robin's a Swedish recording actress, never heard, or Swedish recording artist, sorry. And I find it interesting because I had never heard of that artist before, never heard of this song. But you know what? Michelle made it work, because it was definitely a switch around from last week. Just not performance level, but actually, because they were both great performances this week and last week, but performance style was switched around. Because you got her slow performance of True Colors last week, and then you got this faster performance. And I think the vocals were done very well. She went into the high notes when she needed to, and then she kept it at a lower register when she needed to. It was perfect. It was very well done. Perfect, very well done, and very good. She will definitely be there next week. So next up was Shakira's last act, which was Chris Thomas with the Jackson 5's I'll Be There. Now, I said that Chris was definitely pitchy last week, I remember. And I gotta say, this week, so much better. Like, the vocals were right in the pocket. Every time he's managed to slant, the pitch was so right on. And I gotta say, Shakira picked a good song for him, just basically for the fact that his voice is high, like that. Good songs are artists whose voices are high pitched too, which would be Jackson 5, Bruno Mars also. And yeah, it was a good choice for him, and I think he did a really good job with it. So last up for tonight was Amber Carrington with I'm Gonna Love You Through It by Martina McBride. And I would say with this one, I think it was because of Amber's story going into this performance. This was probably the most intimate performance of the night. Probably that, and with the Swan Brothers being a second place as far as intimacy goes. So honestly, I think I think it's interesting because Amber started off very good last week and then ended the show very well this week. So I think Amber's well on her way to doing very well in this competition. Alright, so let's get to who could possibly be going home. I think, so let's just get to who is maybe the worst in each team, because I don't feel like this is the time in the competition where two people on the same team are going to head home. I don't think we're at that point yet. I think I'd have to think about, with Usher it's hard to say who is the worst one, because actually they were all pretty good. Like Josiah was really good, Vito was really good, and Michelle was really good. I can't say that I believe that any of those three are going home, but if I had to pick one, you know what? I don't know. Let's just go through the other teams, and then we'll see if we have to put one of those three in the bottom, because I think those three were all really good. Let's get Shakira. Team Shakira, I think, would be easier to figure out. So I think the weakest on Shakira's and who could be very well going home tonight, unfortunately, is Garrett. Garrett Gardner could be going home tonight, I believe. Because Sasha, I think people are going to give her the votes just because people know she can blast it out of there. She can really blast her vocals out of there. And Chris, I think, really slammed it, so I think Garrett could be one of the people going home. And then we got, let's get Adams. Like, Judith and Amber were both really good, and I think, unfortunately, Sarah was probably the weakest of Adams' team. And then of Blake's team, the Swan Brothers really had a great moment of for their performance, and I think Danielle also. So Holly, I'd have to say, was the weakest of that team, unfortunately. If I had to say between those three, which two would go home, I would say Garrett and Sarah. Garrett and Sarah would be going home. I think that though Garrett and Sarah have been very good, I feel like they will be the ones going home tonight. I would love to hear everybody's opinion, so please post your opinion in the comment sections below this video. Have a good time watching the results show, and have a good one.